Hey everybody, I'm Andy Smith, your hostess with the mostest. I'm a 30-year comic book veteran, having worked for Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Image Comics, Cross Generation, Ominous Press. You name it, I've probably worked for them. And I do other things art-wise outside of comics in the field of advertising. I've also written some books on drawing comics you might have seen. Drawing American manga superheroes, Drawing Dynamic Comics was my first book. And I also did the handy little How to Draw Superhero sketchbook where all you need is a pencil because you do all the work right inside the book. Enough about that. This is the Book Look series. The Book Look series is where I grab a book off my library. You can see the tons of books I have behind me. And I go through it page by page with you so you can see if it's a book that you might want to buy. I like to know what I want to buy before I buy it, and I feel this is a way to give you some insight into these books. So join me for today's book look. Thanks.
Certified Badass.
Well, hello everybody. This is your host with the most, Andy Smith, coming at you, 31-year veteran of the comic book industry, working for Marvel, DC, Image, Acclaim, Valiant, CrossGen, you name it, I've done it. Now I'm doing my own thing, Astonishing Comics. Sign up for my newest project, Kor-Drath, The Reckoning. If you like fantasy, barbarian, action, blood, violence, yes, Dungeons and Dragons type of stuff, you will like Kor-Drath, The Reckoning. A link is in the description below. Go sign up now. By signing up and backing the campaign, you'll get a free Lilith trading card. But you have to sign up and back the campaign to get it. On to today's book look, The Art of Walter Simonson. Now this is funny. This was put out, let's see, I can't remember how long ago. Like I said, I do these book looks. I just usually grab stuff off my shelf. Haven't looked at it for a long time either. So there's a nice little introduction from Howard Chaykin about Walt. Let's see, here we go. This book came out in 1989. So 33 years ago, this bad boy came out. Of course, Walt started at DC, and one of his early gigs was Hercules. And you can see this Hercules and just see where he was going to go just a few years later on Thor. Now, the thing about this book is it says the art of, but it's actually collects some of the stories he did for DC up until this point. When I think of an art of book, I think of a book that has sketches and pencils and raw inks and things like that. This really just is a best of collection of some of the stories he did. Nothing wrong with that, because if you don't have some of these stories, this book, especially for me when I picked it up, was great, so I could see some of this stuff, because I discovered Walt when he did that famous Thor run. That's when I first discovered Walt Simonson. After that, you know, I stayed with him. He did a short run on the Fantastic Four, which was really good. Of course, X Factor. You know, I didn't know much about him from DC at all. Cool shot here, Superman carrying Batman. Simonson the Storyteller by Archie Goodwin. And then, like I said, we get into some of these works, and it all says in the table of contents where these were originally printed. So, for instance, this one, is The Cape and the Cow Death Trap from Detective Comics 450, 1975. So I believe this is one of his first gigs in professional comics. You can see, even then, you can see what he's doing storytelling-wise. He definitely has a storytelling signature, using sound effects in panels, his graphics that he's known for. I want to see if it says who did the lettering. Unfortunately, this does not give credit to the letterer. But, you know, Walt's style has a very European feel. You can see he was influenced by some European artists. His layout sense, you know, if you look at the Thor stuff he did at Marvel after this, almost a decade later. Was it? Man, it might have been 1982. So maybe 7 years later. But you can see where he grew to, and, you know, looking back from that Thor stuff to this, like I was doing, because like I said, I saw the Thor stuff first. I was looking at this stuff going, you know, it's raw, and it has an energy to it, and you can see his distinctive inking style and stuff, but he just matured so much from this to the Thor stuff. And these were all just short stories like he did Dr. Fate. To me, this is very classic. This is from 1975 as well. Very classic Simonson pose. All of us artists have these poses that, it's not that we repeat them, but you can definitely look at certain artists and go, oh, that's a Walt Simonson pose. That's a John Byrne pose. That's a Neil Adams, you know, so on and so forth. This book you'd probably have to get off of eBay. It's definitely not in print anymore. It would be cool if DC were to go back to print with it, maybe add some different things to it to expand on it. But even back then, you can see how Walt designed his pages and his panels to lead the eye around the page. They said these sound effects, this is what, the thing is, this, I'm trying to remember, I think it's John Ostrander is the letterer Walt loves to work with. Let me see if it gives credit in these at all. No, not really. Maybe at some point. This does look like John Ostrander's lettering. God, I hope I'm right. I don't want to... I could go grab a book and look, because I have Ragnarok, but it's about 5 feet away from me, and I don't want to just go get it while I'm filming this video. But I'm pretty sure it's John Ostrander is the letterer that he always works with. And part of it is because of the sound effects that John does, and just his lettering in general. Hopefully I'm not wrong. If I am, I apologize. That's what I get for flying blind and not doing homework. Captain Fear, written by David Michelini. John Workman. That's what I meant. John Workman. John Ostrander. I'm such a dope. John Ostrander is a writer. I should know that because I worked with John Ostrander on an issue of Suicide Squad when I first got into the business. It was an inventory issue that never saw print. Anyhow, John Workman is the letterer that Walt always works with to this day, and he just has such a distinctive lettering style. Oh, I just love his stuff. Nice little battle here going on. Very cool looking. I don't know much about Captain Fear. I read this stuff back when I first picked this up, which was in the 90s. I think I've had this thing for about 25 years or so. I don't remember much of the story. But, you know, it's pirate stuff. So there you go. That's cool. He's just such a great storyteller. And, you know, one of the things that attracted me to Walt's work on Thor was his inking. There's just something about his ink line that is just great. I also really like this flat coloring. Now, this was originally printed on newsprint. This is a little better paper than newsprint, but they didn't recolor any of this stuff for this book. And you can just see that even with flat color, the stuff just works so well. The colorist had a limited palette, so they really had to know what they were doing. Look at this sound effect. Srirachafoom! I like how Walt gives a little write-up before each story. I love his design stuff. It's so organic. Even his technical stuff has a nice organic feel to it, and it's all believable. So this was in Star Spangled War number 170. Cool little sci-fi story here. Look, I think Walt drew himself right there. At least it looks like him. Hercules, Hercules, Hercules. Now, I did discover this Hercules stuff before I went to the Kubert School, and I remember seeing it, and it was after Thor, you know, so like I said, I discovered Walt on Thor first. It was after seeing it and discovering it, I was like, damn, that is cool. Look at these beefy hands this dude has. You could see Walt's love for like Jack Kirby and this design of Hercules. He didn't start the book. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez actually started the Hercules book, and he was inked by Wally Wood. I don't remember the issue number that Walt took over, but I remember buying specific issues just because of Walt's art. And then I went back and I got number 1 when I discovered that Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, another fantastic artist, actually started the book. But there's just, you know, Walt just incorporates great storytelling, dynamic storytelling. He's got dynamics of Kirby, Jack Kirby in his storytelling. It's one of those, he's one of those artists that when you read it, you really get sucked into the story. And you can see his growth. And, you know, they printed, yeah, this is page 17. Books were shorter, so this is a second story. I mean, just looking at this, I'm like, oh yeah, this dude should do Thor. So, and he actually, you know, before he had his nice long run on Thor, he did earlier issues of Thor before that were inked by Tony DeZuniga. And it was an interesting combination for sure. All right, let's go through some more of this. I mean, this has all the classic Walt-isms or Simonson-isms, if you will. And I'm actually recording this. If you want to know a little behind the scenes baseball or whatever they say, I'm actually recording this on Walt Simonson's birthday. So that's a clue. So if you want to track back and go, whoa, what day was that he actually recorded this? I recorded it on Walt Simonson's birthday. Happy birthday, Walt. You are an inspiration and a living legend in comic book art. And then he did some Metal Men, which I thought was very cool. I thought his style fit the Metal Men very well. I also love the fact that everything in here, when he started off, you know, he had inkers that I'm sure he worked with some inkers at DC, but everything in here, he inked himself. And I just love that. I think that's so cool. I always love the way Walt does faces. Walt's a guy whose work is obviously more cartoony than realistic, but then he pulls things like this, and it's believable. And that's one thing that I think is so cool. So then when he does the over-the-top stuff, it all works together in Walt's world. This is the storytelling stuff I love. Look at this. 3 panels, 2 panel, 1 panel. It's a nice little storytelling effect there. You know, when I see this, it's, you know, in my mind, it's the camera panning down. So you see that, and then the camera pans down, and then it cuts and pulls back, pans down, and then boom, bigger panel for the action and what's going on. Pretty sure this is lettered by John Workman as well. So I'm guessing they both started their careers around the same time. I don't know that much about John Workman other than he's an awesome letterer. God, I've got so much stuff to read. If I only had the time, if I only had the time. And then another Metal Men story to go through. I'm kind of sitting on the pages a little bit so you can see them. And, you know, hopefully if you like this book, you'll get on eBay and see if you can find it. And go out and get it for yourself. If you're a Walter Simonson fan, I highly recommend it, because some of these back issues that these stories were originally printed in probably aren't that cheap. So this is one way to get them, and maybe at an affordable price. I don't know. I haven't looked on eBay to see what this book actually goes for. I could be wrong. This could be a very expensive book, and I just have it thrown on my bookshelf, so not quite sure. A pause in the day's occupation. They just don't make comics like these anymore. I feel like an old man saying that, these kids these days, they don't make them like they used to. And like I said, I'll go back. I like this flat coloring. You know, you as a colorist, you had a limited palette that you worked with, so you really had to know what colors work together and know color theory and such. Oh, look at this. This is Walt Simonson, artist calligrapher. So Walt actually did the lettering himself on this. This was lettered by the great Gaspar Saladino. I believe he passed away. But just this right here is, I mean, it's just a title. You know, the Metal Men, but that's just such a great logo as well. Walt does great facial expressions. It's really, really cool looking stuff. You know, if you have a chance to dissect it and try to see how he leads the eye around the page, because he does. He is directing this story. I love his line work. I believe he's mostly 102 pen. I'm going to say that's what he was inking with back then as well. And you get a specific look when you're using the 102 pen point. Obviously, he would use brush to fill in black areas and maybe beef up some outlines. But as far as I know, he was mostly 102 pen. And then we've got, the book ends with one more story by of the Metal Men by Walt. And I think there might be some sketches in the back. Good old Eclipso. He can, one thing Walt does so well, he can take these little panels and just pack so much into them. That, you know, beautiful long shot here. Here, you got the ships on the seas. Let's see. This one, he did not letter. This was the same letterer as the previous Metal Men story, Gasper Saladino. So this is weird. That doesn't look that much like Walt to me, but has a little Toth look to it, actually. See, look at the difference. Oh, there's another one. The Dark God Cometh. I also love, and I do this as well sometimes, I love the pattern on the jacket. It's a jacket. You want to give it a pattern, checkerboard type pattern, but the lines don't follow any of the form. They're just straight down and straight across. And you know what? It's comics. It's fine. That works great. You know, could Alex Ross get away with something like that? No, because Alex's work is so based on realism that that wouldn't work. But for Walt's style, it works just fine. Very Jack Kirby right here. Walt's also great at special effects in regards to explosions and punches and burst lines and things like this, like the shininess of this jewel, you know, the gem. Like I said, if you look at his Thor stuff, you can really see some great special effects that he does because, you know, back then, flat color, you had to really do the special effects in ink like Kirby did and John Buscema and those guys. And Walt would even take that stuff to another level. I mean, look at this. Shoo-bop boom. Shoo-bop ba doo da ba boo 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 hoo. This is what I mean by the power of Walt's stuff. Just with this special effect, with the burst lines and everything working together, you just get a nice sense of power out of that panel. Same here with these three. And then boom, nice perspective, just in your face. And then we get to a little portfolio. This is what I would like to have seen more of, different things like this. This is a different look for Dr. Fate. Look at that. It's almost kind of Thor-esque, if you will. Cool Darkseid and his sons. I would love, man, I remember seeing this when I bought this book thinking, oh my God, I would love to have seen Walt do a Green Lantern story. That would have been so cool. He's just one of those very unique talents. Adam Strange, very, very cool. Mr. Miracle. Of course, he did do a New Gods Orion book in the, was that late 90s, early 2000s when he did Orion? I don't remember, but that is just pure Walt channeling like Jack Kirby on the New Gods. Ah, it was great stuff. And then a final shot here from 1976. So there you go. You know, if you're interested in this book, I guess you need to go check eBay and see if you can find it. I do like how they gave this little spiral up here. Like, it would have been cool if the spine was up here, since they have this spiral thing up here like a notebook where you flip up. But that is it. That is the Art of Walter Simonson. Check it out. Like I said, check out Kor-Drath. The link is in the description below. Go sign up now. Thank you guys for watching my book looks. I appreciate it so much. I will catch you on the next book look. Until then, take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Like, subscribe to my channel. I'll catch you guys later.